chapter 8, verse 5 through 11, he's talking about two different mindsets, and he draws several contrasts between these two mindsets. And he's talking about a mind that is ruled by the flesh and the new life in the spirit, and that's a mind of the spirit. To walk in the spirit is to be in step with the spirit. Yeah. To walk in the spirit is to be in step in the spirit. To be led by the spirit, to be led in the spirit, and to have this new life in the spirit of God means to follow his lead and to follow and to be in his control. To follow his lead and to be in his control. It is life governed by the Spirit of God. This life is distinguished by the mind being set or focused on serving Christ. Set or focused on serving Christ. Is your mind set and focused on serving Christ? Oh, praise God. All right. So the one whose mind is not focused on serving Christ and has a mind of the flesh, this individual's desires are based off of the world. But the one whose mind is focused on serving Christ, their desires are not selfishly controlled. But they are controlled by the will of Christ who lives in them. Right? If you're a believer, the Spirit is always in you for the purpose of this loving God who is leading you. For the purpose of this loving God who is leading you. If a person is not in step with the Spirit of God, he or she will be controlled by the flesh. It says that David was a man after God's own heart, does it not? I think it's the Message Bible that says his heartbeat was beating to the heartbeat of God. Wow. Yes. That's what it means to walk in the Spirit. That your heartbeat is beating to the heartbeat of God. That you are in step with the Spirit of God. That when the Spirit steps, you step. When the Spirit says to go left, you go left. When the Spirit goes right, you go right with it. That you're not going to go down any road where the Spirit is not leading you. Okay? Got it? Amen? So these people, these flesh people, they live in an existence which is dominated by sinful human nature, and whose focus and center of attention is self, whose life is lived to satisfy selfish desires. If you have that mind of the flesh, and you want to have a mind of the Spirit, something that you can say, Lord, say this with me. Say, Lord, saturate my thoughts with truth, and let your word in me abide. Then, thinking on the pure and good, may my whole life be edified. Say that last part together. Everybody say it. Say, may my whole life be edified. All right? Amen. You're walking in the Spirit. Your whole life is being edified. Him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you. He who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
My recharging season, my battery's being recharged, and I'm going to get some more life. It's been loosed in heaven. Yeah. God called my name, PJ. Recharge time is loosed in heaven. This is a covenant thing. Yes. It's done. It's settled. Yes. And because you're operating in my spirit, you have a mind of the Spirit. It's also settled down there on earth. Yes. So when your spirit is of righteousness and you're operating with the Holy Ghost, God says even your mortal bodies will have life.
Yes.
Hello, have